If we've learned anything, it's that complete happiness is not a thing. Maslow's pyramid explains that when our most basic problems are solved, the less important problems become just as big. And something similar's happened to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shai is practically an MVP candidate. Chet Holmgren is having an unprecedented rookie season, and the team sits comfortably in second place in the Western Conference, even beating the defending champion Denver Nuggets twice. On top of that, the huge haul of picks that Sam Presti's managed to amass could allow him to bring in a star right away. But as is often the case, the force of nature has balanced the scales and has not allowed Oklahoma fans to be completely happy.
NBA star Josh Giddey with the Oklahoma City Thunder coming under fire following allegations he had an inappropriate relationship with a high schooler.
Josh Giddey has found himself embroiled in some pretty serious controversy. But the most incredible thing in some ways has been how little transparency there's been about the issue. The NBA spoke directly about the suspensions of Ja Morant and Draymond Green, but in the Australians' case it was different. So the theory that makes the most sense is that we don't have all the information. The minor's family has not pressed charges and has retained the services of one of the best attorneys in the entire state, Gloria Allred, who already has a lot of experience in sports-related cases. All this appears to be precautionary just to protect themselves from what may happen. So one way or another, Giddey's not missed a single game with the Oklahoma City Thunder due to the suspension from the off-court related issue. The Australians continue to play under Mark Daigneault and has appeared in 28 of the first 29 games of the season. However, his performance is a far cry from what he offered last season. But who is Josh Giddey? And why does the future of the Australian national team and Oklahoma City Thunder depend on him? It's an increasingly common occurrence for foreign players to come to the United States for basketball training, either during their high school or college years. However, this was not the case for Giddey. Born in Melbourne on October 10, 2002, Josh was the son of two former basketball players. His father, Warwick, played no less than 449 games during his NBL career from 1987 to 2002, mainly for the Melbourne Tigers. Funny thing, he played for the same team as his wife, Kim, who played for the Tigers in the Women's National Basketball League. So it's clear that basketball ran through Josh's veins from birth. At just 7 years of age, Giddey started playing basketball at St. Kevin's College in Melbourne, where from the very beginning he began to stand out from the rest of the kids because of his enormous talent. It was his potential that allowed him to enter the NBA Global Academy, a training center at the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra, which is one of the 3 infrastructures spread out around the world that serve to train future elite athletes. In addition to the one in Australia, there's another in India and another in Senegal. And Josh began to show signs of his versatility on the hardwood. In January 2020, Giddey helped the NBA Global Academy win the Torneo Junior Ciutat de Hospitalet in Barcelona, where he not only played superbly, but also won the MVP title. All this just a year after excelling in the Australian Under-18 Championships, where he averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. The forward was beginning to be on the world basketball radar, and was already considered one of the best prospects in the world. But the truth is that he hadn't had the opportunity yet to play basketball at the senior level. It was the Adelaide 36ers who first gave him the chance to do so, but the team's idea was much deeper than that. Knowing the limitations of the American program, which required players to wait a year after leaving high school before they could declare themselves eligible for the NBA draft, the NBL saw an opportunity to offer those talents a year of experience and good national competition where they'd also get paid money. Giddey became the first player to participate in this program, called the Next Stars program, turning down enticing NCAA offers such as the University of Arizona. Just 1 year after signing the contract, Giddey had a 12-point, 10-rebound, and 10-assist game, becoming the youngest Australian in NBL history to record a triple-double. It was no fluke. In his next game, Josh had 15 points, 13 assists, and 11 rebounds, becoming the first Australian in history to record 2 triple-doubles in 2 consecutive games in the NBL. The 36ers finally dropped him from the roster in May so he could prepare for the NBA draft right after winning the NBL Rookie of the Year trophy. Giddey was one of the most highly rated prospects just before the 2021 draft, being placed by many mock drafts in the lottery positions. However, he ended up exceeding expectations. The Oklahoma City Thunder selected him with the 6th pick in the draft, and Sam Presti put his full faith in one of the most atypical players the league had ever seen. And Giddey really seemed like a player made for the NBA of the future because many of his qualities. Because versatility is one of the most important aspects of modern basketball, Josh has unique qualities, which he quickly demonstrated in the best league in the world. At 6'8", his size allows him to be a very versatile defender, a fact that currently is still a work in progress. But his ball handling skills, coupled with his more than decent scoring ability and exceptional vision, made him a very valuable asset for the Thunder. After a good rookie season in which he was selected to the All-Rookie second team, Giddey enjoyed a spectacular sophomore season. The Australian averaged 16.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 6.2 assists per game, and seemed to have become the perfect second option for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was also able to relinquish some responsibility in playmaking and could become one of the best scorers in the NBA. However, this third season of Josh in the NBA has been disappointing, to say the least. Something that seems to make no sense due to the fact that, as we said at the beginning, the Thunder are having a season that exceeds all expectations. Mark Daigneault is right now the favorite to win Coach of the Year, as Oklahoma is right now in one of the sweetest moments in recent years. Of the 5 players in the starting lineup, all but Giddey are having career years. No exception. Shai continues to be a constant threat to any team, and his ability to score on ISO situations and off the pick and roll continues to be unstoppable. An extremely quick player who nevertheless plays slow, and who's able to offer that contrast at the pace that drives opposing guards crazy. Chet Holmgren's presenting a very strong candidacy for the Rookie of the Year award after missing last season against one of the most hyped rookies in NBA history in Victor Wembanyama. Jalen Williams is having a spectacular sophomore season in which he's increasing all his offensive stats and efficiency to the point of becoming one of the most versatile forwards in the league. And Lu Dort, although with less offensive load, has managed to transform himself into a spectacular 3-and-D that's surpassing for the first time in his career the 45% in field goals and 40% in three-pointers after being drafted as a mere defensive specialist. It still remains to be seen whether or not Giddey's regression this year has been caused by his personal life and if he can turn things around. But while it may seem like the Thunder don't need Josh Giddey at his best, the playoffs may be a completely different story. The Western Conference is tremendously tough, and there are a lot of strong, experienced teams sitting in the middle of the conference table as of today. These teams, as we saw last season, specialize in performing in high-pressure situations. And while the Thunder will also be there someday, they still need more experience for now. Still, Oklahoma's not the only team whose future depends on Giddey. Australia has been one of the leading countries in developing the most basketball talent over the past decade, regularly placing players at the top of the draft. Josh is not the only one. In 2016, Ben Simmons was picked number 1 overall in the draft by the Philadelphia 76ers, just 2 years after Dante Exum was selected 5th overall by the Utah Jazz in one of the most hyped drafts in league history. But all these players who were called to lead the national team in international tournaments have had a common factor, and that's that they haven't been able to justify their position in the draft. It's true that Giddey's still tremendously young, and comparing his career with that of these other players is very unfair. At just 21 years old, he has plenty of time to figure out his legacy and become a great player in the league. But in addition to sorting out his off-court issues, he needs a change of mentality. The Thunder could be involved in a trade at any time, and there's no doubt that Josh's market value, while not as high as last year, could be attractive to other franchises. And honestly, at this point, I would hate to be the player whose turn it is to leave the NBA's most up-and-coming franchise.